Welcome everyone to Umzansi Season 4, where we witness the best players in Africa going head to head in their respective titles to show us the true talent and absolute beauty that we have from this beautiful content that are just competing in their absolute best forms in esport. Of course, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. My name is Esport Proxy and I will be your host for this evening. But of course, I'm not alone. I've got our fantastic PUBG Mobile cast and host, and I just can't English today, that will be joining us. It is Patchy and Iro OG. We'll be taking you through all the action as we witness it tonight, and it's been an interesting start to season 4. Of course, we've had 4 iterations of PUBG Mobile specifically. It's been there since the beginning, and we've seen some players grow and just really expand their talents, and then we've seen some new faces and some new teams coming into the ranks, and of course throwing some wrench in the works and giving us some surprising strategies as we look at it. But let's take a look at the schedule so we can remind you about what you should be expecting tonight and what you have waiting and in store for you tonight. So of course, we've got the 3 maps that we all know and love from PUBG Mobile. We've got Erangel, Sanhok, and Miramar. The times depending on how those games do go, but those are rough estimates of where the schedules will be heading. And it's the good old cycle. It's the good old 3. The maps that have been here since the beginning of basically the season of Umzansi. So by now, these players, these teams, they know exactly what they're going to be stepping onto. But of course, why are we here? Why are we all, using our wonderful Sunday evening time to witness the plays that these players are ready to show us? Well, it is, of course, the prize pool that is so insane. They've got $17,500 up for grabs for the total of Umzansi. Of course, we won't be seeing the FIFA segment tonight, waiting for those transfers to head over to FIFA 22, but the prize pool for FIFA 22 is a total of $2,500. And with PUBG Mobile, the segment we will be witnessing tonight, we've got $15,000 up for grabs, of course, spread amongst the top few teams. So, I mean, that's quite a little bit of pocket change to be throwing in your back pockets, wouldn't you say, Aro?
I mean, $15,000 is such a huge prize pool, and all these teams are obviously going to be putting in neck and neck to make sure that they grab the, best placement and kill points in order to secure the points to get themselves that share of that $15,000. For me, that is a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what tonight is all about, how these plays are going to be playing out, because it's going to be intense. We got A and D, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how these teams come against each other.
That's why we're all here. We want to see how these teams are adapting. Of course, we've already had the initial few days of games, but we've seen at least once every single one of the groups that we'll be witnessing in the season 4, A to D. And today, actually, speaking about A to D, we have Group A and D going head to head. But now, as I mentioned, we've already seen at least every single group once. Let's go take a look at that leaderboard just to remind you about where the teams are currently standing, of course, before all the rest of the games do happen. We'll be looking again at this overall leaderboard at the end of today's game, so it will look a little bit different than what it currently looks like. Patchy, if you would, please just take us through this.
Oh yeah, it's of course some very interesting numbers coming off the back of some great games yesterday and of course on Friday. Influence Rage Africa top in the charts at the moment. Heading into today, Influence Rage sitting with 60 points in position number 1. Rilla Insiders off the back of a really good performance on Friday are sitting in a second position with 53 points. Slime 4KT still in the top 3 there with 48 points in third position. We've got Seven Sins Art of Killings there in fourth position with 46 points. KHK also fifth position with 40 points. So quite a close combat between the 3, 4, and 5 position there. Of course, CE Sports in 6th with 33 points, as well as Zero Tolerance Skills with 29. We've got Team Somalia in 8th position there with 29 points as well to round out the first page of the standings there. Definitely some interesting performances from all of the teams over the last 2 days. We've seen some really great performances out of the Incorsi teams that got promoted this season, which we were probably going to be saying a lot because they have certainly shown us that they have something to offer. Moving on, of course, to that second page in the 9th position, we've got Affiliate Apex with 28 points, as well as Solar Esports with 28 points in 10th place. Black Clover in 11th with 27, as well as the Magicians with 27 points in 12. We've got the Sidemen in 13th place with 24, as well as BBC with 21 in 14th position. G3 coming in 15 with 21, and the Immortals in 16th place with 18 points. I believe moving on to the next page, we're still in the safe area, going into 17th position. Rain from Hell in 16. Toxic Esports as well with 16 points in 18th position. 19th place, we got the Young Thundercats with 14 points. Sincerity with 12, as well as Natural Killers with 12 points in 23, as well as Team Unique with 12 points in 24. This last page that we're moving on to, however, is of course that page that you don't really want to find yourself on moving through the rest of the season. It's not too much of a bad position now, and you still have plenty of time to work your way up this leaderboard. But for now, we're just going to have a look at the last page. In 25th, we've got Ultra 6. We've got Lag Esports in 26th position. We've got Infinity in 30, and EXO Redefined in 31. There we go. All of the teams have had a chance over the last 2 days to put some points on the board. But today, the teams will be having a chance once again in groups C and D, I believe it is. We're going to be having a chance, or is it? Oh, is it B and C? I don't even know who's going.
A and D.
A and D. That's the one. We're going to be seeing them have a chance to put some more points on the board, which I'm looking forward to.
Exactly that. And you're talking about points, and obviously, we mentioned that, the last page, they have to be a little bit careful of, because that is the page that will most likely be relegated towards Nkosi, and like, they're going to have to fight to stay in the Umzansi Esports League, which we know and love. So let's actually take a look at how exactly the teams can fight to get themselves those points, to get themselves up on that leaderboard and find a little bit of safe haven within the Umzansi Esports League. So of course, placements and kills, the two main things whenever we talk about battle royales, and of course, especially when we talk about PUBG Mobile. First place, the winner chicken dinner, will land you a total of 15 points just for getting there, and then we dim it down as we go down the placement rankings. Obviously, second taking 12, third place taking 10 points. You go all the way down to 7th, which each will be getting you a respective amount of points. 8 to 12 gets you 1 placement point, and unfortunately, if you find yourself dropping out within the 13th to 16th team or positions, you'll unfortunately be getting not any single placement points. And the biggest thing that we always keep talking about, Patchy, is how impactful those kill points have been. So for every single kill, you land yourself an extra point added to your team, which, as we know, is absolutely crucial for some of these teams that are finding themselves on the last page. And speaking about the teams, so that we won't confuse Patchy any further, let's actually take a look at the teams that we should be seeing today, going head to head. Of course, it is Group A and Group D who will be going and fighting on those 3 maps to try and get themselves as many points as possible. Iro, if you would, please do take us through some of the teams.
So first and foremost, we got the BBC, Nihal, Lord, Law, and Valak, as well as Kratox. And then you got Team Unique, Keish, Zest, Terry, Zuri, and Sorry. Black Clover consists of Dagger, Vibe, Federal, Hugh, Bahai, and Yo-Yo. And then Team Somalia is Chapo, Beast, Amin, Fash, and Hanad. And then KHK, previously known as Yankos, is going to consist of Jabot, Close, Nura, Me Boy, as well as Pennywise. And then you got Rainbow Madagascar, which is Prime, Go, Joe, Doroki, Purpose, and Optimus. And last but not least, we got Sincerity, Esports, Rogue Baby, Willy 1337, as well as Inky, Aimbot, and Nez.
Yeah, easy coming through there for the last members of Sincerity Esports, and those are going to be the first group of teams that we should be seeing against, going head to head with Group D. So let's take a look at the teams from Group D, and of course we can see them on your screens right now: Solo Esports, Magician, Sidemen, Natural Killers, Infinity AF, EXO Redefined, G3 Temper, and Black Crystal. Now, what's interesting, we mentioned, KHK, formerly known as Yonkers, and some of the other teams like the Magicians, or these teams that we keep talking about coming through from Nkosi. Now, what exactly Nkosi? Well, Nkosi is the way that these teams can qualify and find themselves a spot in Umzansi. We mentioned you don't want to be on the last page of that leaderboard, because if you do, you will most likely be relegated to fight the top number of teams from Nkosi, which are weekly cups that happen every week. The teams have to register for every week. It's a separate little mini tournament that they fight to get themselves up into the leaderboard, and then at the end of the season, Zanzi and Nkosi number of teams from Umzansi go head to head to see who either will be staying in Umzansi or who might be finding themselves a new spot in Umzansi, which so far has been absolutely crucial because we've had teams from Inkosi really show up in such a massive way. And Patchy, I know you touched on it a little bit, but can you take us through some of the performances we've seen in the last 2 days, from the likes of our Inkosi teams? KHK is one of them that we saw. Real Insiders is another few that we've been mentioning, and so on and so on.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So one of the things that I've found very interesting to witness so far is, as you mentioned, teams like Rilla Insider, making it so high. 7AOK as well, KHK, even C. I mean, they're topping top 5 teams right now, which is absolutely top 5, top 6 teams, which is absolutely huge for the teams that have made it up out of Nkosi that are sort of looking to debut here in Umzansi. And I think they've done a very, very good job at that. When I started the season off, one of the things I said was I really want to see teams bring something new to the table. We've spoken about this a lot behind the scenes. I really wanted to see something new brought in every season. And I like it when the status quo is challenged a little bit and it really just broadens the perspective and the horizons of all the teams that are playing. And that's the really good thing about what we're seeing here from these teams. So we're seeing the teams come from Nkosi with a different mindset, with a different play style, teams that have never really tussled with one another before. And they're coming up with new ways to play the game, and it changes the landscape, and it keeps things fresh and interesting, really. So it's really good to see the performances coming out of teams like 7AOK and KHK and Really Insider. I mean, right now, Really Insider is sitting in second position. That's one day of playing right there that they managed to get up there. I think it's like 48 points for them. That is huge. I mean, coming out of a single day of play, that's really, really good. If you can stay consistent with those points, I mean, you'll be able to boost yourself way up that leaderboard very, very quickly. And I mean, that's what you're looking for. These teams want to get to the top of that leaderboard and they want to stay there. And this is how you do that. You come off strong, you start the season off strong, and that's what they've done.
And I mean, you saw the flags next to the teams there when we were looking at the leaderboard. Of course, this is a Pan-African tournament. We've got teams all across Africa taking part in this tournament, fighting, PUBG Mobile. They play on their mobile phones and they don't make it look like it's from a cell phone. God, I can tell you that. They play better than I can on the mouse and keyboard. So they definitely have the talent and the skill to show off. And there's the reason that they are in this series and they are in this tournament is because they are so good at staying consistent, especially the teams that have been here since the beginning when we started this journey now into season 4. There's been a little bit of rebranding. Some teams have changed names, but you still see some of the players that started with us in season 1, which just goes to show their consistency. But of course, the new names, the new players, there's always time for a little bit of evolution, and there's always time for the young blood to jump in and to shake things up a little bit. I mean, Iro, when we talk about it, we've spoken a little bit today about the competitive scene in esports. When it gets to that point where you can't really say, oh, it's definitely going to be XYZ that's winning today, or no, yeah, it's definitely going to be this team. When it comes to a point where you're like, I don't know, I don't know which one. It's like one of 30 teams at this point that can be taking the winner chicken dinner today. How does that impact esports going forward, especially from a viewership perspective?
Honestly, from a viewer's perspective, you get surprised now, or you more so get anxious to see exactly the final game, the final leaderboard, because you usually, when it comes down to a single name, you can, before the tournament off, why should I watch? I know so-and-so is going to win the game. There's no point in watching. I can already predict that. And in the end, they do win. But in the likes of Umzansi right now, you do have like a select few that are really giving it all. And even by the looks of the leaderboard, there's a lot of distributed winner chicken dinners. So for the most part, it isn't a set team in the Umzansi that's ready to rock and roll and send all the eliminations and as well as take all the points for themselves. So it gives the viewership a anxious feeling or more so exciting feeling to tune in every week or every single weekend with Umzansi, and they're therefore telling more of a story. Okay, well, Yonkers won this game. Oh no, now it's 7-0. Okay, so it's always going to be a bit of a better story going forward, and that's what I like about competitive. Is that it's continuously growing, and with the new teams coming from Inkosi, coming out from the Inkosi Cup is getting winner chicken dinner, so it's nice. I like that. Yonkers as well, KHK doing the bits and pieces over there. That's going to bring in a better story, and that's going to bring in more entertainment for us, a better story to tell the viewership. it's just going to be amazing to see exactly what the next couple of more games, whether or not these new teams can stay consistent. As Patchy mentioned, it is the first week, and we have to wait and see whether or not they can continue doing what they have done already.
It's exactly that. We're going to see if that consistency stays there or if the teams maybe fall off, especially with the pressure starts to really set themselves up. And because we keep swapping these groups, because we had A and B go head to head, now we're going to have A and D go head to head. At some point the A is going to be facing group C. It does mean that it forces them to continuously adapt their play style, because the people that they're going to be fighting aren't going to be changing. Like, it's going to be such a different group of players and teams. So I mean, for the viewers joining us either from Facebook or from YouTube or from Jinx, welcome. This is the Umzansi Esports League, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming Africa. And if you've wanted to know a little bit more about the season, a little bit more about who Nodwin Gaming Africa is, or about how this Umzansi Esports League really works and how you can register for Nkosi, if you think you've got what it takes to join the ranks and to show everyone what you've got, then you need to head over to the Nodwin Gaming Africa website. It's nodwingaming.africa. Has all the information, has all the news about upcoming events that you might be looking forward to, maybe for titles that you're not seeing tonight. They do a couple of tournaments, so you guys should definitely go check them out. And the action is always here, and especially with our PUBG mobile teams, man, they have just improved. Patchy, comparing season 1 to season 4 now, what are some of the pointers you can tell us?
Oh man, season 1 to now is it's a whole different show right now. I remember back in season 1, we were still trying to get the teams to even just fight each other. It was really a different scene altogether. Teams were sort of really playing the sort of, I don't know, call it traditional style, of local esports where we're from, but I mean, it's kind of like the slow, do we fight? Let's just stay here and see what happens kind of gameplay. And I just remember, like, the whole season long, it was just me and DK going, fight, 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 fight. Come on, get out of
Show
there.
us the
fight.
action.
Just go do something. Get out of that building. Go fight. Now, we've got something that has evolved into just so much more, entertaining to watch. The teams have bumped up the skill level to different heights, and I mean, it happened every season. The skill level just goes up that much more, and it's really, really good to see. I mean, we see some really good strats being utilized. We see a lot of commonality being shared among some of the teams as well, and I think that also owes to the fact that their experience is going up. I mean, the more teams play against each other, the more teams that come in, the more teams that sign up for Umzansi, the more teams get experiences in other tournaments and just bring all of that in. Things just get better and better and better, and now we're watching teams that are making some serious, like, really good rotational plays, utilizing some of the knowledge from the old days of how to play slow, but with newfound perspective, how to get aggressive, how to do it quicker, how to get stuff done a lot more, and how to utilize time better. I remember that was actually something that I was harping on about for at least like 2 or 3 seasons, where it was like, come on guys, you need to be able to manage your time. Like, let's do this. Because sometimes you could see a team, they were really good at taking a fight, or they were really good at preparing, but they were lacking somewhere else. Like, they wasted a lot of time doing nothing. And it's like, come on, you got to use your time. Every second that you do nothing is you got doing standing outside of a house while you're waiting for something to happen. That's not fighting. Like, you got to make something happen. Force the team to do something. Force them to make a mistake. Push them out. Retreat. Do something, but don't just do nothing. It's a waste of time. And we've seen teams improve so much in that area as the seasons progress, which is really, really good to see. So with this new season, it's interesting to see a lot of the teams that are now coming up into Umzansi also exhibiting a little bit of that. Sometimes a little bit slow on the uptake. Sometimes a little bit hesitant. But I think that as the season moves forward, we'll start to see a lot of that drop away as the teams get a little bit more confident in themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that we've got, every single kill is going to land you an extra point does also force them in another regard, is if they want to climb that leaderboard, if they want to find themselves safety into the next phase of Umzansi, they need to be a little bit more active. They need to be proactive in finding those fights that are going to work for them to set themselves up, especially early on, set themselves up with a little bit of kill points so that they can focus on their loot later on. They can focus on those early rotations. They can set themselves up for that final zone, and hopefully they could be finding themselves a winner chicken dinner dinner. But as the plane is locked and loaded, you can see on your screens everyone in the plane is getting ready to jump on into Erangel, and the first map of day 3 of the Umzansi Esports League Season 4 is about to go underway. So it is at this point in time that I'm going to give it over to our captain, our pilots. It's going to be Patchy, it's going to be ROG to take you through all the action. The flight path, as it stands currently, is heading towards a lovely little area we like to call the Patchy Point Central, where he will tell you a little bit more about that. But guys, please take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're headed to the Sosnovka military island where you may obtain many patchy points if you decide to drop there. Right now, it's map number 1 of day 3 of season 4 of the Umzansi Esports League. We out here on Erangel. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday evening, because I certainly am, and I'm hoping these teams are as well, as they head down onto that map, getting themselves ready to loot and shoot. And let's have a look and see if anyone drops on that military island. No, it doesn't seem like they are, making me very, very sad once again.
You've come to love this military base. Is there any reason to why you'd prefer people land here?
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, I love the unloved. Nobody loves the Sosnovka military island, so I gotta show it some love. Number 2, it is underrated, man. It's a strategic asset, in my opinion, because how many people drop there? 0. Which means if you drop there, no one's gonna shoot you, which means free loot. And free loot is great. I like free loot. But, yeah, in any case,
yeah,
we've got that zone.
We've got the zone. It's formed up over here. You got a wide distribution of players dropping. Some of them still flying in, such as the Magicians, Infant making their ways into the center. Some of them have really got a good drop spot or POI that they can locate themselves on. Early rotation to be, early part of the game to be in a vehicle over here on BBC.
Yeah, BBC is yeah, they usually like to drop Multa power sort of area, so I suspect that they're not really in their element right now, so they just hit the deck, jump into a vehicle, and zoom as quickly as possible over to Multa power. So that's what I expect them to be doing right here, which it seems they are. Luckily, they have a bit of time to use here, so it's not going to be the end of the world if they do decide to rotate all the way out to Multa or Multa power. The rest of these teams not capitalizing on that early rotation, so they should be fine. It's not like they are in any amount of danger just yet. I see G3 also relocating to their favorite spot there above the Eastern Bridge. So a lot of teams just going to their default locations where they feel nice and comfy. And I hope that means that we're going to get some very confident starts from those teams, because I think they do need to show why it is that they're here. I remember BBC at the end of last season was looking really, really nice. I hope they show us a little bit of that again, because I'll be quite disappointed if they just go out without a fight.
Let's see exactly what the plays will be or the decision making is for BBC, but it does look like they finally find themselves some safe haven where they can loot up. But right behind them is EXO Redefined, where they get a knock on Law and they're going straight into the battle, into the pits of BBC. For the most part, just surrounding them. It's now down to a 3-man BBC squad to sort of clutch up and try get some eliminations on EXO. That is, of course, if they decide to double key the team, and it does not look like that's going to be the decision over there, as EXO Redefined is nowhere to be seen around BBC as it stands.
Yeah, BBC making the decision to get looted before they move on, which is probably a better idea. In fact, they might have even made the decision not to move further than Malta, which is interesting, but certainly fine considering Malta is still inside the zone, so they're A-okay when it comes to that. Speaking of, let's have a look down towards Primorsk. The Magicians very far away from that zone, but I guess that's not too much of a problem right now. Most of the teams are fine in terms of their positioning. That blue zone going to take quite a while to move in, so they do have time. I see a nice centralization of some teams around Rozhok there. You can see Natural Killers, KHK, Sidemen, couple of other teams in that particular location as well, which is good. That means we'll see some fights at least somewhat soon. I hope that does happen. Of course, North George also looking quite crowded, so I'm hoping we see some early fights break out in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and for the early parts of the game, it's all about getting the best desired loadout that these players so fit to see them going into the end game aspects, but it then means we just got to talk a lot more patchy.
Oh yeah, that's the best part. That's the best part. We got to, we just sit and watch and we see what's going on and we talk until they decide to fight. So here we are. We'll take a look and see what these teams have up their sleeves. I hope it's aggression because yesterday we saw a little bit of an uptick in terms of aggression, but we didn't see enough. I want to see more. I want to see these teams get so confident in what they're doing that they just pick some teams off and really make them scared. I haven't seen a super confident push in the early game for quite some time. A lot of teams
Hmm.
like to play the safe game, which I guess makes sense since you want those placement points. You want to make
Yeah,
sure you don't go out too early. But man, I want to see some risk taking. I want to see some risk it for the biscuit kind of plays.
yeah, but like you mentioned, I kind of feel like as the seasons go by, so does the experience of each team, each individual. For the most part, we can maybe question in Corsi if you do go in W key in Corsi team, such as magicians or whatever the case may be over there, you can have somewhat uphold and confidence. But for most of these guys, they come to know each other. They know exactly who they're dealing with. They know who they're up against. So maybe it's the question of, do I rather gamble and take the risk here to 50-50 it for 4 kill points, or should I rather go in for those placement points and try secure myself as much as I can onto the leaderboard? I feel like that is the case here because we are in season 4 now. You could technically say the experience has multitude itself by 4 times.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that they've had 4 times the opportunity to, up the skill level. Although a lot of these teams, obviously, being new to the season, so maybe not as much, but certainly the skill bar is pretty high. With that being said, though, I mean, I kind of back the crazy strats. I want to see
Yeah,
someone just roll up on a team like, "Hi, it's 2 minutes into the game and we're ready to take a fight with you." I mean, who cares if we go out early? I want to see what happens. But
yeah.
yeah, I get it. These teams want points. They want to play safe. They want to play smart. It makes sense. But it just makes me more sad. No one drops Military Island. Nobody does the early crazy pushes. I just cry all
Yeah,
the time.
no, sometimes the unexpected is going to get you some sort of surprise of element onto your team. So yeah, maybe do the unexpected. Maybe go in and W key, but yeah, for the most part, even in the Incorsi in the Umzansi, we are getting some relation of some sort, and you can see that the players are relatable in the sense that they opt in for slow rotations, questionable W keys, and even for EXO Redefined, they had the advantage. They had the numbers. BBC was still in the midst of looting. They still needed the utilities to they shield, etc., to get into a decent amount of HP. But no, EXO Redefined decided to disengage from that. So we will continue to see that here in PUBG, and I feel like PUBG is the most strategic, slow gameplay battle royale there is out there, and that's what makes it interesting. Is that there's different phases and they really play to those different phases of the game. Whether the zones start to shrink, then the action starts to pick up. But it's also Erangel. It's a sort of big map that we have on our hands over here. So close combat action is not really going to be expected. And you can see these two teams, Unique as well as XIX, are sort of engaged, but just by sights, not by bullets, not by close combat. They're just looking at each other, trying to get involved.
Yeah, that is a lot of how these teams do take those early sort of engagements there. It's very useful to keep an eye on your opponent. You don't necessarily need to fling bullets at them to let them know that you're there. You spot them out and you're like, "Hi, we're here. We're just letting you know that we're here. Don't do anything crazy because we are here and we'll take advantage of that." Just sort of like a tip of the hat rather than a waste of bullets, which makes sense. You can see that zone has moved up, shifted slightly towards the north, and most of the teams concentrated down to the southern half of that circle just below the river that divides the landmass there.
Yeah.
Quite a number of teams just concentrated there. I really hope that fights start to break out there. Otherwise, I'm just going to be really sad.
You can see some zone plays coming in from magicians and the strats still existing here in Umzansi. But for the most part, magicians have been doing well according to the leaderboard. But unique in a sort of drive-by type format, and they're getting in a couple of shots here and there. I don't know to what extent these shots are going to be connecting, but it does look like it's onto Yonkers, and Yonkers are very blood hungry and know exactly how to take on the fights.
Yeah, waiting for something to give at the moment. They've got a nice spread, but it does seem like Unique is very much cornered at this point in time. Just all stuck up in one single building, which both can be an advantage and a disadvantage because, one well-placed nade could certainly end things off. In the meantime, Pennywise is going to get a nice knock there, just putting on the pressure, keeping it up. Here comes a whole bunch of players. Jerbot is going to be moving up there, ready to get those nades flying into the house. Just as I said, could open yourself up to some potential nade plays. Could be a problem if they're not careful. Sorry, keeping a watchful eye out here on the players moving up on this compound. In they come, KHK looking for blood. This is the kind of action that I was looking for. Exist going to go down as Louis pulls the trigger. Up he comes looking for some more blood as he pushes straight up into the house. Cage goes down. In the meantime, as Snora pulls the trigger on that one, and every single player is fighting in such a difficult time. Cage going to go down. Sorry, cannot fight all of that. Too many players pushing in at once. A nice aggression coming out of KHK.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. You just love to see how they surrounded that entire house and then eventually set the patience game to see whether they will get the damage on the team, and they definitely did. That was well played from KHK.
Yeah, it was, and they picked a very good moment to do it because Unique was holed up in that house, and they didn't have a very wide cone to receive KHK. So KHK just did a really good job of spreading out and flanking from every side, making it very difficult to actually propel the attack. And once they were right up against the wall, it was super easy to just push in. And yeah, they just couldn't hold those chokeholds. It was just too difficult. There were too many players rushing in, too much damage already been done at that point. So yeah, just a very nicely executed push by KHK. And of course, moving on, we have G3, who I have been waiting for to step up here. They have still not done anything too significant just yet. A couple of bits of damage across the board, but nothing too crazy just yet. I'm hoping that they push up, maybe. They need to restore some of the hopes and dreams that we've had for them. Because at the moment, we just really haven't seen them top in that leaderboard like they used to.
I mean, new talent maybe could be the reason why shaking the boots over here of G3. But it's a crazy zone rotation that we have to get for so many teams. You got Infin, KHK, XIX, G3, Solo, BC, and all these teams now needing to make the rotation into the zone, hereby the shooting range or just above the ruins. And for the most part, this is going to start to unfold that action that we've been waiting for this entire evening. For the viewers as well, if you guys are just tuning in, don't worry, the gameplay is going to unfold pretty soon.
It certainly will. Of course, that zone has shifted up once again towards the west this time. The players, of course, streaming in once again. G3 right up with XO Redefined as well as Sincerity right there in the mix as the teams start to stream in from the east and south. You can see also quite a hot spot there. The Natural Killers and KHK occupying that particular position, and it actually looks like we have some action off to the east. There were a couple of teams streaming in on that one. In the meantime, Tomac going to be putting the nails in the coffin of Yujiro. Down he goes, and bye already. The Natural Killers taking a bit of a fight with KHK as they come on through, but Gunner getting taken down in the meantime. Here's BBC taking the fight. This is the fight that I was speaking of there in the east. BBC getting a little bit of a tough situation. Inside the blue zone is not where you want to be fighting, especially considering the fact that we are 3 zones deep, which means the damage is going to be pretty significant at this point. Dojo going to go down. Matrix going to hit the deck as well. This is not a fight that needs to happen, but these teams have just made it happen. I think somebody, I don't know if it was BBC that pushed in on this fight, but the rotations didn't come through quick enough. I didn't manage to catch exactly why this fight broke out, but it is here, and so many players are getting down, getting so much HP chunked away. This is a very, very difficult fight to be in right now for these 3 teams that find themselves here.
Well, it's a good thing and a good decision coming up from BC to disengage with the vehicles, get a good distance between the teams over there, because the pressure of the zone is just gonna not make you fight at your 100%. You're always constantly looking at your HP being chipped away. You want to maybe grabbing a bandage, but then there's a gunshot that's gonna be there to beam you. Now BBC all together, able to make that rotation right there, which is fantastic. And you got Nihal and all of these players in a vehicle, and there goes the rotation. So they're down a one man, which is BBC Law, which we saw earlier on by EXO Redefined. But they still making it work for themselves, and making their rotations successful into the next safe zone right here. But not really safe zone, because any moment now they're still going to need to make rotations yet again, because we finally see where that zone is going to be pulled up to, and they got about 36 seconds. But we are down now to 47 players alive and 14 teams. So only one team wipe has been successful this evening, just to show you exactly how slow or how passive the gameplay is on the game number 1 of Umzansi day number 3.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And of course, as these teams are moving in once again, that zone about to push through in the next 9 seconds, things are going to get that much more difficult for these outlying teams. As you can see, that space has been reduced quite considerably. They have about 800 meters, I think, still remaining for them to play in solo, going up against KHK, who is suffering some heavy losses at the moment, as they try and get the heck away from that fight and reposition. They're about to get visited by Rainbow Six, who's also streaming in there from the east. In the north, we've got BBC still taking a fight with a couple of other teams as they try and move their way across into that zone. So a lot of stragglers trying to stream inside. Most of the teams already, I think, set themselves up there inside the zone. And that looks like KHK taking a couple more knocks on that side. So really, things are heating up here inside the zone. Of course, on your screen here, you can see G3 going up against Sincerity, who have control of this compound, looking to maybe repel this attack just a little bit. G3 do not have much cover to work with, and there's actually quite a bit of potential for third parties here.
Yeah, third parties indeed. Has that map shrinked? So do the players come close to each other? So third parties, fourth parties, I mean even six parties, because throughout the rave over here in the PUBG, a couple players from BBC are falling down, and confirmations as well, as Vala gets eliminated out of that team over there. So that's just going to be GG's for BBC, as they have had a tough moment in the entire game number 1 scenes. There's Lord as well getting knocked and eliminated. So it's now all down to Nihal, as he is a solo and probably going to be the only player to try get those placement points for the team. Hopefully they do so. I don't know just how much more this cover of smoke can do for him, as he got so many teams around him that could potentially pick him up. We got Peril, who is in this situation as well. But Infant Kato just trying to get in right over here, and you can see Yo-Yo, NK as well around here. So a couple of teams around, man, and this is looking tough.
It certainly is. Of course, the Infinity player right up here, Kato, in a very difficult spot, has to make some tough decisions. The smoke has been popped, so there's a little bit of vision obscurity. Yo-Yo, of course, very much under pressure by this Infinity squad. There's so much damage being done there. Yo-Yo actually just going to get naded out of existence. Goodbye, so no chance to even fight back, reducing us down to 12 teams. And some more action is certainly going to be brewing very, very quickly, because as you can see, that blue zone is moving in. It's about to close on up. We'll see where it drops next, all the way to the west, or the northwest at least. So a couple of teams will have to rotate, most of those teams being in the east there. So BBC, Solo, and EXO Redefined all going to have to make that push into the zone, which means we're going to have so many more fights right up ahead of us. In the meantime, Solo right here on your screen going up against KHK, and KHK doing what they have been doing all game long, and that's just pushing straight on up and seeing if they can take the compound away from the defending players. Samurai going in for something here with DP, but can't find any significant damage just yet. Snurra spearheading the attack as they move on in, but oh man, Solo just not looking too good right there. There's Snurra, he does the damage. Digas goes down. In the meantime, G3 also taking a fight. But man, oh man, KHK, they have just been dissecting teams. Samurai forced to jump off the building, but so low on HP, a single bullet might just be the end of him. He knows that he has to sit in that corner. He knows he has to juice himself back up before full HP because KHK is right on his tail. He has to make the hero play. He has to go for the clutch. It's all he's got left because they know exactly where he is. That could be also lighting up. It's Samurai just hiding around the corner. Louis looking for that final shot, but he's just waiting, delaying the inevitable. Samurai makes the push. He hits the deck, but not going to be able to find that kill. Louis does manage to clean that one up, and KHK another successful push.
Yeah, they're alive, they're setting the dominance across the entire map right now. Snorer looks very low on HP as he makes a rotation in the vehicle. The play zone keeps on shrinking, or the safe zone has its stance right here, and Julesy picks up a knock over here. BBC Nahil still alive somehow, making sure to grab some placement points. And now we're starting to look at those placement points, and our commentator cursed that as he gets eliminated, and that's BBC out and dusted, sent back to ponder on what they can do next in lobby number 2. And this is GG's has Pennywise now looking to be in a tough position as he gets knocked, and it's Nora who's left alone. But 16 kills all in all means that they're still sitting comfortably in the entire tournament, or game number 1 as it stands right here, as they grabbed some points already, but now being focused quite heavily by NK Natural Killers over here. They're just setting on the ammunition onto Snora, and this is not looking good for the team. Here's Rashi trying to just get a peek in as well. Julesy, everyone's just focusing on over here on Snora, and he's trying to get in a bandage. Just how much longer can he survive as a solo is the question of that is the players asking onto Snora.
Yeah, you know what I say? KHK, they have to live by the sword and they will die by the sword. Snur, of course, being the only one left for the team here. And he is very much in a precarious position because Natural Killers and Infinity are right next to him. And of course, that zone has shifted up to the north, which means he has to rotate as well. So he's not in a really great position. EXO redefined right up ahead of him as well. Everyone looking to buy themselves a space in the final, or at least what could be the final zone here. So little cover for any of these teams to use. G3 trying to establish a little bit of dominance here. Pablo getting naded out of existence. They have a very well placed nade. You can see all these teams, they're going to have to fight tooth and nail to secure themselves a spot in this zone. The nades are absolutely flying at the moment. Gunner just sending them across the map, looking for Sincerity, who is huddling inside of that smoke, trying to find and squeeze out whatever cover they can get their hands on. Lots of aggression has to be the answer for these teams who want to break into that zone. Roshi going to go down as Snura continues to lay down some fire for KHK, trying to get as many points as possible. Kato going to get taken out as well as Ammo. That's Infinity getting hit very, very hard. Snura does go down, so that's KHK eliminated. Roshi also going to get taken out there by the player zone. Play zone, of course, having the most kills out of all seasons ever. Sela going to go down in the meantime. The Mini 14 tapping away. Sean going to hit the deck as well. Kato getting taken out by that play zone. Sean also going to get taken down by Light. Juicy hopping into the vehicle to try and get the rotate through for the Natural Killers, but up in the zone, so much damage being done. It is just absolute chaos for the teams trying to get their ticket to that chicken dinner.
Oh man, what a phenomenal endgame as we have over here. Infinite Light being the only solo. A lot of solos going in, and you know, these are just hoarding those placement points because it's just a single player and you away from a placement point. And play zone, honestly, just taking away and eating away the players we have right now. G3 Biden, he's gonna get eliminated right there, and you can see he's knocked as it stands. They can get the confirmation if they can lead, but now all these players so close to each other, and we did see Magicians in a very late rotation, but finding themselves in a good position as it stands over here, and they could potentially be the winner chicken dinners. But I'm not going to call anything just yet because predictions right now is a bit stalemate as we have so many teams still alive in this one and setting dominance, and the other teams, it's TS, Kinman, and they are just a 3-man squad, but they are setting the reins with one team kill, but making it all the way into this endgame position. He's going to get tagged up quite a bit and almost even knocked, managing to grab some time and a breather for that first aid kit, and this is the scenes you like to see. There's that play zone shrinking up quite a bit, and now the blue zone telling these players, no, you got to make the next rotation. What is the play here, Patchy?
Well, the play is fight and fight as hard as you can. Right now, G3 having made it into a top 4 finish in game number 1 here of today, which is really good to see. Whether they're going to be able to continue that, though, I'm not too sure. Magicians seem to be in a very good spot here. They've got the numbers, and they just need to push up a little bit to get themselves inside the zone. In the meantime, G3 has taken quite a bit of damage. They're getting the reses in. Six is going to find that and head over towards Gunner as well to continue to get the resing back up of G3, so they will be able to recuperate just a little bit. Light, I'm not sure if he has much of a chance here. He's playing the lone wolf game off by himself in the eastern side of the zone, but in comes the blue, shrinking as it does, showing no mercy to any of these teams. Kingerman going to be looking to see if he can spot anything out up ahead, because of course these guys need to be playing very, very hard. This is Team Somalia, by the way, who has pole position inside the zone. They don't have the numbers advantage over Magicians, but they have a good amount of players. Paradox actually going to get taken down by the blue, which is going to help a couple of these other teams out. Magicians going to have to find another way to crack this open. So many nades heading in their direction. That's a lot of damage done. They are losing HP one by one as those nades absolutely fly on in. Bearden going to find some nice shots in towards Kingman. Team Somalia losing a little bit of their ground in this zone at the moment. They might just be losing their space, especially if Light catches them off guard. Look, he's right on the sky. He could do something. Speaking of something, Six is going for the damage, but he gets taken down close instantly. Good. Gonna go for a cheeky peek there as well to find some damage. Gunner heading down the hill to try and establish a little bit of control of the situation. Light getting taken out as well. He's going to give no problems for the rest of this match. We're in our top 3. It's G3, it's Team Somalia, and it's the Magicians to vie for that chicken dinner. But the question is, which team is going to find that? Oh my word, MG. That's the Magicians just getting absolutely wiped out. And now G3 going, swinging for the final one. They almost have this one in the bag if they play their cards right. They have the advantage in terms of height. They've got the angles. They just need to find those last few shots in to finish things off. And certainly it will be a much needed chicken dinner for G3 as their performance needs to get, well, it needs to get started here in season number 4. Just looking for a couple of hits through that smoke. Not finding anything, but damage has already been sent over towards Team Somalia. Also, props to Team Somalia for making it up into top 2 in game number 1 here. Seriously good performances coming out of our Incorsi promo teams. Very, very nice coming out of them. The question is, can they handle the pressure?
Oh, man. At this point, doesn't look like they can. A grenade from Gunner does connect onto Beast, and now TS is down to 2 players, and G3 can make the play to go in for the W key, but it does look like it's a passive still towards the very end. But any moment now, Beast may be taken out because that play zone is shrinking. It is indeed, and the first aid kit is being popped here by Gunner. If they can get the peak, they get the angle, they can be in a good position, and it does look like for the most part, it is not over just yet, as Kingerman is beaming the players left, right, and center, and now it does look like G3 may potentially be down to a single man over here, and here goes the shots between these 2 teams, and ooh, there's a confirmation from Six God who gets eliminated right here, and Gunner trying to take a first aid kit, but I don't think it's enough as Kingerman goes on to the play, and there's a winner chicken dinner for Team Somalia. What a fantastic way to win. Coming down as a 3-man into this. Hits over here, Patchy. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely nuts that they're going to be able to get that chicken dinner in match number 1. Very unexpected. It has been a long time since I've seen G3 be in a top 2 and actually lose the clutch. Man, oh man. But speaking of, Team Somalia getting that chicken dinner followed very closely by G3, who've managed to pick up an absolutely insane number of kills coming into their pocket. That is almost certainly going to be boosting them right to the top of the match standings. And as I think Gunner has actually secured himself an MVP there potentially. Definitely going to be calling that one. Of course, the Magicians with that 3rd place finish. So consistency coming out of them, which is really nice to see. Overall, quite a fantastic game, number 1, if I do say so.
Actually, I think you actually onto something. I can't remember a time that we've seen G3 in that position and they didn't win it. Like, have we found the G3 kryptonite in the form of Team Somalia? We'll have to wait and see until the second match. But of course, as you mentioned, G3 picking up such an amount of kills that it doesn't matter that they didn't get the winner chicken dinner. They're definitely going to be rising to the top there with that second place and the amount of kills that they picked up. The points difference aren't going to be too massive. But yeah, definitely making a statement coming out of the gates for the third day of Umzansi season 4. And it's good to see, a few different teams rising to the top, names that we haven't, been used to mentioning before. Of course, the Magicians also making, a little bit of a statement there for the Nkosi teams coming through, getting themselves into those top 4 spots. So I think all in all, a lot of these teams came out swinging for the first map. Iro, in terms of the action, do you think the teams were quite active? Would you say they were still on the passive side, especially, towards those beginning stages when we were waiting for those loot phases to start off?
Honestly, passive. Really, very passive game number 1 that we had over there. But it is a kind of expected, being that the map is quite huge, and these players had their own dedicated POIs. Didn't really see any off-spawn situations. It was only the EXO Redefined going against BBC. But other than that, there was literally no action going into the very end of depths. I mean, even for G3, they had the number advantage, but however, they were pinched up against the wall, and Team Somalia still managed to grab the winner chicken dinner. And we have to thank Innerman, because he came through with a mad of a clutch, grabbing all 3 players, if I'm not mistaken.
It's situations like this that really force players to just absolutely play their hearts and minds out. Patchy, in terms of that being, opening game for day number 3, I think it's a good opportunity for you to take us through these standings and just remind us of what we just witnessed with G3 Temper running away with 15 kills.
Yeah, woo! We see that all too often. G3, this is how they operate, basically. I mean, this is how, when they were still sort of in their golden days, this is how G3 got to the top. It was insane numbers of kills. There it is, 12 placement points, 15 kills, giving them a total of 27 points, which is just absolutely nuts in position number 1 for that game. Team Somalia, of course, coming in second place with the chicken dinner, plus 5 kills, giving them a total of 20 points. Moving down to position number 3, we've got Infinity AF, 14 points. The Magicians heading up position number 4 with 11, as well as the Natural Killers with 11 in 5th. We've got EXO Redefined in 6th place with 10 points, KHK in 7th with 8 points, and Solo Esports in 8th position with 4 points. To round up the first page, of course, moving on to the second page, it is going to be the Sidemen in a position number 9 with 3 points, Sincerity position number 10 with 2, as well as BBC with 2 points in 11. We've got Rainbow Six Madagascar, Black Clover, Black Crystal, and Team Unique coming in 12, 13, 14, and 15th position there. Most of them picking up 1 point, except for Team Unique, who went out first to that KHK push that we witnessed. So, yeah, quite a nice game, actually. We saw some very nice pushes from KHK specifically. And then we saw them fall on their own sword towards the end there, as all that aggression put them in a bit of a difficult spot moving in, and the zone did not favor them, so they had to take a bit of a tough decision there. But ultimately, some very nice plays all across the board, and I'm just really keen to see what happens on Sanhok, because things are going to be even more insane.
Exactly that. And as we take a look at our MVP, I mean, Patchy, you called it. It is Gunner from G3 Temper pulling through with 6 kills, a total damage dealt of 816, and a total survival time of 26 minutes and 46 seconds, coming through in clutch for his team, who, I mean, to be fair, the entire team of G3 Temper pulled in with some ridiculous amounts of kills, but we did unfortunately have to pick only one that could be the MVP, so it's okay. Erangel coming to a close though, which is map number 1 of the third day of Umzansi Esports League Season 4, and as usual, the action is just beginning. We're going to be going to a very short break, but when we come back, as Patchy mentioned, we still got Sanhok and then Miramar to take a look and see who will be moving up that leaderboard, who will unfortunately not be having a day of amazing PUBG moments, or maybe we might be completely wrong and everyone is planning to give us a surprise. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Umzansi Esports League, brought to you by Nodron Gaming Africa. We're in Season 4, day number 3, and of course, we've just finished map number 1. It was Erangel, so let's take a look at those standings to remind you about what happened and who ended up where, because, yes, a certain team who I shall not mention, because I'll let Iro take you through the standings, just decided that they wanted to take all of the kills in the entire lobby. So, Iro, if you wouldn't mind, please take us through these standings.
G3 Temper walking out with 15 eliminations and a total point of 27. Team Somalia was, however, the one to get the winner chicken dinner, end up with 20 points in second. The Infinity AF is in third with 14. The Magicians in fourth with 11. In fifth is Natural Killers. In sixth is EXO Redefined. In seven is KHK. In eight is Solar Esports with 4 points. Over on the second page, we do have the following: in 9th, Sidemen; in 10th, Sincerity Esports; in 11th, BBC; in 12th is Rainbow Madagascar; in 13th is Black Clover; and in 14th and 15th is Black Crystal and Team Unique. The only team that was unique was Team Unique with 0 points.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, unfortunately. But I mean, coming through for the teams, unfortunately, Erangel doesn't always go the way that you would want it to do. It's the first map of the day. You get those, those initial nervous, jiggles out of the way. You sort of get yourself into your groove, and then you come through for Sanhok, which we know, for those of you who aren't familiar with PUBG Mobile, is one of these smaller maps that we have in the cycle today. We go from an 8x8 block, which is a normal map, obviously not considering, the amount of water that is on the map can also change how much actually land, the players have to work with. But Sanhok is literally half the size on the map than Erangel and Miramar. So we generally do see a lot more close combat coming through. We see a lot of teams running into each other a lot more often, finding themselves in building, trying to take a fight, and then getting interrupted with a third team or a fourth team or a fifth team coming through and third partying them and taking some of their kills away. So you generally see an even distribution of kills across all the teams on the leaderboard. So obviously, that does mean that some of these teams have a beautiful opportunity to climb that leaderboard and get themselves some points. Patchy, what are some of the other differences that we know between Erangel and Sanhok?
Well, I mean, with Sanhok, it feels like the zone is moving a little bit faster. That probably just due to the fact that there's a lot less space to work with. But certainly, it does feel like the tempo is a little bit higher. And it's actually interesting to see teams that are not really adept at managing their spacing in this map can actually get overwhelmed very quickly. The blue zone's on your heels. There's too many teams ahead of you. You can sort of trip up on yourself just a little bit and get taken out. Alternatively, if you're very capable, then we do see a lot of teams find the ability to take long-range engagements on this map, if that's even possible. When it has happened, it does happen. So that is a thing as well. But one of the things is you just have to make sure that you're aware of the surroundings. You have to be, cognizant of that basically all the time. So it just really does throw the teams into the frying pan and sort of test their mettle, which is great to see. We do often see early engagements on this map as well, which is nice because it does force the teams to really adapt and overcome difficult situations. It's one thing to take a fight when you're all set up and ready to go. It's a totally different matter to take a fight when you've just hit the floor. You've picked up an Uzi with like 12 bullets in it, and you've just got to land every shot that's in your mag.
And it's happened to all of us all too many times. When you've ever played PUBG Mobile, especially on Sanhok, you know the feeling of getting third-partied, as Patchy has unfortunately reminded me of. It's fine. I'm gonna go talk about this afterwards while you guys are casting the next game, and just be a little bit sad about the amount of times that, unfortunately, because Sanhok is so close quarters, and because so many teams are always around you 24/7 while you are playing that game, they can very easily hear when a fight is going down, where it's going down, the direction of that. And of course, it's their choice whether or not they get involved. If they want to go steal some sneaky kills, maybe get some loot up, because, loot phases might be running short because of the amount of action that we generally do expect on Sanhok off drop. Crazy things can happen. You can get fourth parties, you can get fifth parties, you can get so many parties happening, and it gets rough. It really does. But it should be interesting to see how many teams actually take this opportunity to climb that leaderboard, get themselves set up for, of course, the rest of the games today, get a little bit closer on that leaderboard. As we know, the Nkosi teams, they've been making quite the statement there. They've been really showing us that there is a new style of PUBG Mobile coming in, and there's new teams, new blood in the scene that are ready to take the winner winner chicken dinners for themselves and prove that they are some of the best in Africa, because we've got some insane representation in this tournament, and it's just more beautiful to see that these teams are having an opportunity to jump in, to showcase their skills, and to really, really give us a beautiful show as we wait for it. But the plane is getting locked and loaded, so we will shortly be going over to Sanhok. Just keep in mind, of course, you should be expecting a lot of close quarter combat, so yeah, maybe those Uzis might work out. Patchy, where's the Patchy points place on this map?
I think just surviving this map might just be enough. There's no real, there's no real drop spot. There's no military island equivalent just here. There is one on Miramar, all the way down to the south, but on this one, not so much.
Okay. Well, I mean, I quite enjoy Paradise Resort, so if you guys go there, I can maybe twist Patchy's arm to give you some Patchy push. I'll try. But for the time being, I'm going to give it over to our amazing casters to take you through Sanhok and get you ready and prepped for the action that is coming to your screens. So Patchy, Iro, please do what you do and take us into this.
Let us take you into the sweltering jungles of Sanhok and show you exactly what it means to sweat, exactly what it means to be thrown into that frying pan. Teams are going to be dropping down onto the map for map number 2 of today's games, the final games for this week, that the opener of Season 4. The teams had a really nice little tussle there on Erangel, but now they're going to have a tough time because that zone has dropped. It's all the way in the east. That means all the teams over there on the western side of the map are going to have to, they're going to have to start moving relatively soon. I'm hoping that we do see some fights breaking out. I can already see some teams dropping down there in boot camp, so we're going to have some, lead flying this way and that straight off the bat.
It's going to be interesting. The off-spawn situations happen quick, and you can see they've sort of separated the PI to 2 different parts. But whoever comes out with the best RNG most likely will be the ones walking away with winning. However, it does look like Infinite AF is down to 3 men, or loaded up. It has a 3-man. If I'm not mistaken, no, I do see there are 4 people on the map over here. So yeah, there's going to be a fair fight against KHK, but I see KHK walking out of this one successfully if they do engage in battle.
Yeah, could certainly be. KHK have been on a little bit of a roll today. Yesterday, or not yesterday, but game number 1, of course, taking some very nice pushes early on in the game, and then, of course, then towards the end. But speaking of, just going back to what Sproxy was talking about in terms of landmass, when she said a lot of the game happens on the land, and you sort of have only a certain amount of landmass to work with, I would like to contend that the ocean is a viable play area, all right? And the way that I think this plays out is if you get yourself looted up, you grab a boat, and you go all the way to the end of the extremes on the ocean. Maybe you'll get something done, but who knows? In the meantime, KHK have started their push up towards Infinity, and they're ready to close this one out. KHK have just been on something else today. They took their tablets this morning. They got their breakfast in. They've had their coffee, and this evening they are ready and willing to just go straight for the throat. They've separated, driven a wedge down the middle of Infinity, and now all they have to do is close this out light, all alone on the one wing of the building. KHK slowly closing in, ready like predators over the prey. Infinity have a little bit of time to work with, but it's not much. They might be able to make something happen. They've got their guns. They've got some loot. They could clap back potentially, but KHK, they're just staying on very, very close, ready at any moment to close this out. If Infinity can regroup, maybe they'll have a chance to repel the attack, but as soon as KHK pushes in on this one, it's going to be a tough time. Up they come, moving up floor by floor, ready to clear this out. You can see J-Bots with that shotgun. He is ready to just go absolutely ham. If we could stop staring at that wall, we'd be able to see him looking for some of those kills here. Infinity just waiting, hoping that they don't get caught off guard. Any wrong moves here, any slip-ups at all might just mean their demise. You can see those nades getting tossed back and forth as well as the pressure is slowly building here in boot camp. But that is exactly what we expect from this location. Both of these teams fighting forward. The nades are just doing a little bit of damage there, but no one has been taken down. These teams are still full stacked. No players have gone down just yet. This is a nice, tense, but very prolonged fight.
Yeah, no, and this is not the situations you want to find yourself in Sanhok. Off spawn needs to be quick, it needs to be done and dusted, and you need to move over to your next fight. Especially being that Sanhok is so small, third parties can start getting involved, can start making their rotations into the area, and now we get to see really that fight take on action, and Light gets knocked over here, also will get confirmed, and now Infinite is down to 2 players, if I'm not mistaken. And there comes a beam from J-Bot, and hopefully he's able to get in more ammunition onto these oppositions over here. And taking a couple utilities, Snorer finding himself beamed, he needs to heal up. Doesn't look like he has anything to heal up with, though, so that's just going to be GG's. And you can see Louis taking in his last utility as well. So Dizzy definitely making some crazy plays as a player over here. Still 3 players in Infinite, so they can still come through with a clutch of a madness and maybe turn the tables around. But you do see, like, some of these oppositions start rotating quite closely to where the fight is happening, and maybe it's just gonna come all for nothing because a third party means that you don't have any heals and they have everything they need.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly going to be tough. You definitely don't want to be locked in an overextended amount of time here in boot camp because there are definitely a lot of teams that like to just come past and just see what's going on in boot camp to see if anything is happening and maybe go for those potential third parties. So you don't want to be locked too long here. So I'm really just waiting to see if anyone's actually going to be trying anything spicy like that. This fight has to get ended sooner rather than later. KHK has to make the final decision to either go for that push, that final push for the win, or maybe just retreat away. They have actually started it. Kato gonna get taken down by a very nice Molly. Light hits the deck as well. That's the go signal. KHK now can just push straight on in and pick up those kills. This is what they do best. This is what they've been doing all day long, picking up those kills, picking up those thirsts. They have just really come into their own today. They have found their groove and they are not stopping at all. Ozzy trying to make something happen, but too many guns, too many players, not enough bullets for all of them. And KHK will win the fight in boot camp.
And they will be focusing on getting closer into land anytime soon. But NK, somehow they lose a play of their own, probably in the midst of KHK. We have no idea, but yeah, we're down to 14 teams, 52 players. Some of these players, like Solo team, they need to stop making those rotations over the ruins into the next safe zone. For the most part, it's still going to be quite a slow gameplay that I'm expecting out from Sanhok because most of these guys don't need to make any serious rotation just yet. So just a couple more minutes and we'll get to see that action, that 5-5 fight that we've been wanting.
Indeed, indeed. We'll just have to wait and see for the time being. Of course, Black Crystal here on your screen, hold up in the compound, ready to just stand their ground right up here against G3, who are just a little bit split up. Buden up ahead of the main group, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're intent on doing anything too crazy, which is all right. G3, of course, having found a really good positioning throughout the first map and some really good kills to put into their pocket, and maybe just returning to a little bit of form. We've been talking about how good our Incorsi promoted teams are and how well they're showing up, but I mean, I do have to still say that our teams coming out of the last season of Umzansi still got something to show here. G3, of course, being one of them. They've got a lot to prove here in season 4. And they did a pretty good job at stepping up in map number 1. Whether they can do so in map number 2 is a different question. We will see if they are ready for the fights. We'll see what they can do. So far, beside that initial fight over in a boot camp, things have been relatively quiet except for a couple of exchanges here and there. Now we're just waiting to see who is going to be the next victim, or if these teams will actually be able to get their spacing down and survive until the mid game. That's one of the things that we talk about quite a lot. Is it worth it to survive to the mid game? Because a lot of people are prone to saying it's better to survive, right? Get the placement points. But my argument is always this: if everyone's playing with that same mindset, then everyone's going to be still alive. I mean, we've had many games, especially in the previous seasons, where 16 teams are still alive, 4-5 zones deep. No one's gone out just yet. So the game hasn't changed. It doesn't matter that you've survived for 15 minutes, because now we're 16 teams in the middle of a map and we don't have enough space to work with. Then it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Then it's just craziness, and everyone dies. And a lot of your skill is actually taken away, because you can't really isolate the third parties. You can't predict that kind of stuff. And so it's really out of your control.
That's actually true. I mean, that's where Battle Royale gets different between all the games, for example, Fortnite, I know out of topic here, but Fortnite forces you to take fights if you play too passive, with a storm surge going into play, and players are now then forced to take some damage onto the oppositions. Maybe that's something PUBG in the future can maybe eradicate or put in actually into their game, is some way to force players closer to each other. Yes, the zone does that for the most part, but like you said, 4-5 zones in and you have 16 teams still alive. That's pretty intense, and no one's falling down. And the moment you die, you've spent 15 minutes rotating, playing it safe, getting a building safe, getting the next rotation early, all for nothing. And we see that sort of come into action yet again in the Umzansi day number 3. It's Sanhok. It's meant to be fast. It's meant to be third parties. But for the most part, everyone's sitting ducks and everyone does not want a piece of cake. But however, Sin Rog is just going to be the one to have a cake eaten against them. However, as we have Unique just take out a play over there. And now they're going on the hunt to find out where the rest of Sin is, and maybe they can find players. But Aimbot, Willie, and Ease are just on the outskirts, a bit too far out of range for Unique to actually detect where they are. And you got the sight on an Aimbot, and maybe you do see an Aimbot of play coming into action.
Yep, absolutely. Sincerity caught a little bit off guard. They're going to have to rotate away from Unique. Not a great spot to get caught out. And indeed, that is just the name of the game when it comes to Sanhok. Very close and unpredictable sometimes. You can just round the corner and, oh, hello, 5 people shooting me in the face. That's just how it goes. And, well, the team's going to have to deal with it and just improvise, adapt, overcome. As a good man once said. BBC going to be under fire as well. G3 pulling the trigger on that one. That's over towards the center of the zone. As you can see on the screen, the extra redefined up as well. So there's a little bit of a potential battle triangle going on in this particular position as well. Lord has been separated from the team as well. So there's actually a very low chance of the res coming through, especially since British is right up here in the action, stopping BBC from actually going for that res. So things are going to be difficult. I don't think the Lord is actually in a position to be saved right now. Exo Redefined, of course, here to make things very difficult for BBC, especially with G3 hovering around ready for those third parties, as they always like to do. It's going to be difficult here for BBC. It'll be sad to see them go out, so I really hope that they can somehow make the best of this situation. But you can see there's Gunner just doing what G3 is known for, and that is being an absolute nuisance in the side of any team that comes into their classes. Putting those third-party shots across. Kratos looking for British. British has retreated down the hillside, so they have managed to get Lord and just barely get that res in on him and get the team back up to full health. In the meantime, Sorry going to get taken down in a little bit of a battle of their own. So slowly but surely, those battles are certainly happening, and those numbers are just being shaved off one by one.
Definitely. It's crazy that we get into this position. Unique finding himself a knock play on Azuri. So, yeah, and the third parties here is Sanhok. That's what we'd love to see right now. The action on BBC. And for the most part, it does look like Lord is maybe revived and just a little bit needing of healing for himself over there. As you can see, his HP revitalized over there. So now we are getting into the zone where it starts to shrink in just about a minute. And XO Dope absolutely beaming Law now needing to take some utilities for himself. G3 hoping that maybe they can clean up the service here from EXO, but doesn't look like Gunner's able to get any sight on BBC, as BBC have been in the pits for quite some time right now, stuck in between two different teams. They're just going to continue staying put over here because they are in a good position. But if you look, there's some players that can potentially come in from behind. You got Sin, you got XIX, who could potentially be even fourth or fifth parties over here, and then it's going to become a bloodbath of notes and a massacre across here, and that's going to dampen the players and teams that are alive, and maybe players will start then ranking in those placement points that we talk about. And Sin aimbot in a fight here, but not in a fight with BBC as we expected. But just a couple shots going back and forth. Sin is just crouching and laying in the ground as XIX run by, but he's now going to take a couple shots at that vehicle and not going to deal too much as the vehicle will give in cover. Kratos doing a little bit of damage there in the kill feed over there. Now Sleepy XIX just rotating towards the left and not towards directly towards BBC, and you can now see that confirmation come into the action for BBC, and the action over here is just immersing right now.
Yeah, some emerging action down into the south of that circle. You can see quite a contested position right now. Dagger and the rest of the Black Clover sitting all the way to the north, quite happy, absolutely uncontested. Paradise Resort completely open and free for literally anyone. In the meantime, down south is looking like an absolute bloodbath there. G3 looking in the center of the zone, just laying down that third-party fire that we've seen them do almost all game now. XO Redefined off in towards the east. They're Unique pushing up on them. We've got the Sidemen just hovering around BBC, who have taken up position just below XO. For Sincerity also pushing in from the east. They have to find themselves a position in the zone. A nice nade coming through onto Zist. Going to take him out. And Pero very low on HP, trying to retreat back to the rest of the team as Unique push up in their direction. Zist has been knocked. The rest of the team should be able to come to his rescue very soon. We'll just have to have a look and see what becomes of this, because there's not much cover to utilize. Dope straight over the hill, just put in the shots in, nailing them for the thirst as well. Absolutely cold-hearted, merciless push coming out of Dope, and XO Redefined just want to find these kills. They want to find these points and finish this fight. Great to see them just charging down the hill with blood in their eyes, and certainly Zist will not be able to survive much longer. Tries to heal himself up, but man, there's just no time. Keish gonna get taken down in the meantime as XO just pushing up relentlessly, shooting bullet after bullet non-stop at Unique, not even giving them a chance to breathe. Up comes Dope to just get the final shots, and Azuri, well, I don't think there's much he can do.
Yeah, no, Unique yet again, back against the wall. You know, they try for the most part to do the safe passive rotation on the ocean, but once in land, there's no one you can hide from, no one you can run from. And you know, XO Dope and XO Pero, in fact, the entire XO is just looking to get this team wipe over here, and they do find and do locate Ozuri, but maybe the question is, maybe there's too much third parties that could potentially come in, and they're going to leave Ozuri right here for some placement points that he can maybe secure himself. But still, 13 teams left on the board. 18 seconds until that storm eye starts shrinking, and you know, the safe zone gets smaller. The blue zone will start ticking away on some of these teams that now need to make that rotation. And it got Sin all the way against that wall, against the blue zone. XIX Hunter as well, very much separated from Sleepy, where Sleepy now will get knocked over there. I'm not entirely sure by who. Potentially G3, as we can see a couple shots just coming in from the team, but it does look like they're actually focusing on natural killers. We haven't heard so much to say about natural killers in this day number 3.
Yeah, right now Sanhok's looking to be a bit of a pressure cooker. You can see these teams, the pressure is rising for them as they get closer and closer. 13 teams left, 43 players alive in this soup bowl of death. You can see KHK off in the distance there. We've got Black Crystal in the compound right opposite Solo. And of course, G3 up on the hill looking to continue their annoyance spree of putting in those third parties. In the meantime, BBC are going to get hammered just a little bit. Aimbot with those shots from that AWAM just nailing Some of the players as BBC roll up on G3, an interesting choice to be sure, and certainly one that will cost them this game. They get sent back to the lobby immediately. You do not roll up on G3 like that. I'm not even sure if they were aware that that was G3's position. It looked like they were just trying something. Maybe they were trying to retreat away from one fight and accidentally ran face first into G3. Once again, that is how this map plays out. That's just how it goes. And G3 all too happy to pick up those kills, looking to repeat a little bit of their first map performance and pick up a ton of kills into their pocket. You can see Bearden looking for those long-range engagements, and those are the long-range engagements that I was talking about that are possible on this map. Now, as you can see, looking at that enlarged map on the screen, we've got some teams moving in all over the show, taking up residence wherever they can find a free space. Samurai and get sent back to the lobby in the meantime, as Sincerity are trying to outrun the blue zone, just barely making it across that line, making the desperate dash. Some third-party shots coming in across from them. Gunner. And this is what G3 has been doing. They just continue to be an absolute thorn in the side of any stragglers. Any stragglers on the map, G3 are just happy to collect on those kills. That's like a free gold coin in their pocket. Sincerity just barely inside the zone, squeezed up against this rock for cover. They make it in, and they survive another zone.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how active they are this time around. Day number 3, G3 just, setting in the beams. Haven't gotten too much kills just yet, but for the most part, they are definitely active, putting a lot of pressure on these teams right here. And there goes the blue zone sort of shrinking yet again. Sin is trying to get the revive on Willie. Hopefully they're able to do so. But now we are coming down into this end game over here. You got KHK, you got Sin, you got G3, you got EXO, you got Unique Azuri, who's somehow still alive, but he's tanking in a couple storm damage over there. And Sin Ez is going to get confirmed now by G3. So G3 picking up a couple kill points for themselves. Who I'm not seeing, however, is MBC, or I do see one player, Legacy, in the outskirts over there, just sort of making his way into the zone. But G3, just gotta love how active they've been in the entire tournament. They, game number 1, now in game number 2, setting in, explosives and so forth. And there's Gunner getting another knock over here on Draken. And, oh man, you just gotta love this team today.
That was a very nicely thrown Molotov there, almost on target completely. G3 just continuing to put those shots across to anyone who comes across their crosshairs. That's a lot of crossing. I apologize for that. But here comes the blue zone. 9 teams remaining. We move in towards zone 6. 30 seconds left before it moves up. And G3 just keeping the pressure up. They are stopping any of these teams that walk into their direction. I mean, they just go and stop them from coming into the zone. Full stop. Man, oh man.
Not even gatekeeping. They go into the zone to get those eliminations. They don't care
They fetch
who,
the
what,
kills.
or where is happening. And on the other hand, Team Somalia, they're getting a good grenade over here onto the players. And for the most part, it seems to be doing quite the damage, and they do get that elimination. KHK picking up an elimination on Legacy, or a knock on Legacy. So now the zone starts pushing in. They right away, they scoot to BC5 in a 50-50 position here. And it does look like for the most part, he's going to go through with the 1v2. Will he manage? He's on a smither of HP, and he does so indeed. 5-5. You absolute crazy man. Managing to do just the utmost impossible with the smither of HP. Walks out of that one successfully. G3 just not stopping. They're here to set a dominance. They're here to probably get back-to-back winner chicken dinners. 10 team kills. If you blinked, you missed that.
Yeah, this is what G3 do. It doesn't matter if they miss the chicken. They will get the chicken back in kill points. And, well, they're looking to replicate that already. 12 kills in the pocket of G3, and they are not stopping. They are not relenting. They have no mercy. Everyone who comes into that scope dies. And Tomac just going to put the nails in some more coffins. They're going for Kingerman as well. They do not stop. Look at these guys, absolute killing machines. And suddenly I have blinked and I have missed it. 3 teams remaining, 6 players left alive. And one of those teams is G3, and they are looking for the chicken. They don't even care. They've already made a chicken dinner in kills, but they're still going for the chicken, wiping out Dagger, taking us down to 2 teams. What does KHK do? They have no chance. It is 1 versus 4
Oh,
at this point. G3 have just laid down the law. They have just shown their absolute dominance. This is the reflection of the G3 from the glory days. This is what we were waiting to see. This is what I've been waiting to see for so long now, and they are just a hair away from the chicken dinner. One player from G3 going to get eliminated, but it's still a 1v3. Jerrybot has to do so much work right here if he wants to clutch this up, and I don't think it's possible right now. He can make me eat my words, but we're about to find out, because this is sure to be the final play of the game as the blue zone starts to close in. Jerrybot has to move out. He finds Tomac. That's the first step in this 1v3, but he has to find 2 more. He's got the cover, but the blue zone's working against him. Things are going to be tough. So much damage done, but he can't land the final shots, and that is it. G3 not only pick up the chicken dinner, but they line their pockets with the blood of their enemies.
Talk about a way to go out. A dramatic winner chicken dinner has their walkout with 16 eliminations, but a J Bot and a team not far behind in terms of kills, 11 to their name. Talk about a two-sided story, a two-sided team in a way. KHK honestly just showing up to party alongside G3 in day number 3 of the Nordwin. In third place, not bad, but BC grabbing also 3 eliminations. We're going to have to see and wait for those standings to see exactly where these players are positioned. But fantastic, man. You just got to love to see it.
I mean, we were saying early on, Sanhok, we generally see a more dispersed kill count, and teams generally don't have a ridiculous amount of kills because everyone gets involved in these fights. But Temper decided that they were just going to prove us wrong. They were just going to prove me wrong. So they did that. 16 kills. Biden coming in there with 10 kills.
It's crazy. Crazy.
These guys, they just aim to one up everyone. But yeah, Temper really just showing us why we were, waiting to expect them to really clutch out that first map. Patchy, as we mentioned, when you see Temper in those 1v2, 1v1 last moments of the game, we generally do see them clutch it out. Like, we've seen them clutch out situations that they had no business of clutching out and managing to win it and, go from there. And once again, we get a little bit of a glimpse of the G3 Temper that we know to be scared of. We know to be very, very afraid of. Patchy, if you would, please do take us through these ridiculous standings.
Absolutely, I have to. I mean, as you mentioned, this is the G3 that so many teams and so many players have learned to fear, and that is exactly what we see them do. This is how we saw them play back in those days, and they have come to play once again, taking first spot there with 15 placements, 16 kills, literally doubling their chicken dinner with 31 total points in a single game. KHK picking up second place with 23 points as well, so very much consistent coming out of them. Black Clover in third position with 13 points. Team Somalia with 13 as well in fourth place. The Magicians with 7 points in fifth place. Solar Esports in sixth with 6. Natural Killers in seventh with 5 points. And Black Crystal in eighth position with 4 points. So, I mean, you can just see the disparity between the top and the bottom of the first page there. Moving on to the second, of course, it's Sincerity and EXO Redefined with 4 points apiece in 9th and 10th, respectively. Of course, BBC coming in 11 with 3 points. Team Unique and Sidemen with 2 points each in 12 and 13. And of course, Rainbow Six and the Infinity with 14 and 15 as well. So, I mean, it is just nuts to see one team pick up so many kills in a single game. I mean, 16 kills. I mean, you're basically just stealing the kills out of other people's pockets. It has to be Bearden, MVP with 10 kills, 660 damage, 24 minutes of survival time, 25 seconds there coming through. He is just finishing off player after player after player. And we were seeing that. I mean, that is exactly what G3 were doing all game long. They were picking off the stragglers. They were forcing people to stay out in the blue. They were hunting them down, making sure that all of the punishment was happening. I mean, that's, this is the kind of thing that really does separate some teams a lot of the time. And you could see that's where G3's experience comes in huge for them, because they know how to punish players that make mistakes. They know how to punish bad rotates. They know how to punish bad fights. As soon as they spot out a player on 50 HP running there, they're like, no, we're going to go fetch that kill. We're going to go pick that up. That's free for us. And you could see what that does. They've just stacked up the points, no problem for G3. And it's good to see them back in action.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so happy to see them back in their previous form, and maybe they might be a little bit better than what we've seen them up until this point. But for that time being, we are going to be going to a short break, so make sure that you stay with us, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Jinx even. Stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break, and then the action of Umzansi Season 4 will continue. Be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Umzansi Esports League Season 4, coming to your screens, of course, thanks to Nodwin Gaming Africa. So, second map done and dusted for day number 3, and we're going to take a look at those standings just to remind you what happened on Sanhok, because it wasn't what we expected whatsoever. That was not at all what I was expecting. So, yeah, Ira, could you just remind us of the absolute chaos that we saw happening on Sanhok?
Chaos indeed, and all in respect to G3 as they come in first with 16 eliminations. KHK not far behind with 11 eliminations and 23 points. Black Clover sitting on 13 points. Team Somalia sitting on 13 in fourth place position. The Magicians in fifth with 7. Solar Esports in sixth with 6. 7 is a Natural Killers in fifth. And Black Crystal is going to be on 8th place with 4 points. Going over to the next page, we do also have in 9th place, we're going to have Sincerity Esports in 9th with 4 points, tied with EXO Redefined in 10th. 11th is BBC, 12th is Team Unique, 13th is Sidemen, 14th is Rainbow Madagascar, and 15th is Team Infinity AF.
Yeah, I mean, Temper, I don't know where they came from, but, you know, they're reminding us a little bit of Season 1 Temper. Patchy, remind us of what we saw in Season 1, thanks to Temper.
Oh man, it's like take a time machine, take us all the way back to the days where G3 Tampa was like Goliath, just stomping on all the other teams, making it look like they were undefeatable. Of course, in Season 2, they were eventually defeated, but it's not to say that they didn't score high. I mean, they were still absolutely huge in Season 2. Of course, Season 3 taken by 4KT, and now we find ourselves here in Season 4, and G3 might just be looking to establish themselves back on the top, and honestly, I think I'm on the bandwagon. I think I might just be jumping on the train, maybe, because they seem to be on a little bit of something, you know. The best comment that I've seen today, G3, they just woke up and chose violence, and it seems like that might just be exactly the best way to describe what they are doing here. And now we move on to Miramar, which I mean, I just want to remind the people who don't know, but we did actually have an interview some time ago. I believe Esproxy actually did that one with some of the players coming out of, for instance, G3, and asking them, you know, what's your favorite map? What do you like to, you know, to play? And they were like, yeah, no, we like Miramar. So I'm expecting, guys. I'm expecting.
Yeah, look, if Sanhok turned out the way that it did, you know, with G3 just running rampant and picking up kills wherever they could find them, to put them now on a map like Miramar that obviously does encourage fast rotations, and we see G3, you know, give us some lessons in how to really drive a buggy up a mountain. And obviously the snipers, they come into play. So for a team like Temper that obviously has some very mechanically gifted you know, teams and players, to come through with those sniper kills, those long range fights where they can just sit wherever they need to and just pick off some damage, you know, pick off some players wherever they feel necessary, it does prove a worthy battle for Tempo to actually maybe go for one of the highest kill counts we've seen this weekend, maybe make a statement for Season 4. I think my first memory of Tempo was just them reaching 100 points before any other team in Umzansi, and they stood at that, as you mentioned, sort of that Goliath, that pole position for weeks and weeks on end. No one could get anywhere close to Tempo. I think they had one of the longest running game-winning streaks that we had at the time, and I don't know if that was beaten since. Obviously, rosters have shuffled since then, but the name itself, G3 Temper, is still there. And if the players are anything like their former, you know, incarnations of it, I think we should be scared. I think the team should be scared. We should be scared, and we should just let Temper do what they want to do. In all honesty, don't get in the way. It's fine. But Ira, what are you expecting? Oh, never mind. Actually, you know what? I'll let you answer that a little bit later, because the map has officially started. It's loaded up on your screens, and the plane is rocked and loaded with some of African's best players in PUBG Mobile. So at this moment in time, I give it over to your casters. It's Patchy, it's ROG, taking you through Miramar as it stands. And guys, please do what you do and take us into it.
Here it is. Thank you so much, Esproxy. It is map number 3. It is Miramar, the final map for today's games and for this week as well. Heading on into it, flight path looking nice and easy for these teams. They're going to be able to drop in pretty much any spot they would like to. And I guess now is the final chance for these teams to really make the statement this week. G3 have certainly seemed to be on that rampage. Let me finish off that question that you were being asked. What do you think? What do you expect to see in this game, especially knowing some of the tendencies for some of these promoted teams?
Honestly, I always tend to put the two maps together. Erangel as well as Miramar, solely because they are largely maps, and the sole discretion comes down to who rotates the best, who gets the best positioning, who has the best aim and the best mechanics to go into the game and so forth. And it comes down solely as well to RNG. So for me, the teams that did well game number one is going to do well again yet for us in game number three. Sometimes it's different, they always do dive spawn in Miramar solely because they're not sure exactly who lands at their POI or whatever the case may be. But the teams to do well is, of course, your G3s. I think Magicians do know how to make those rotations. We always find them in the late end games. KHK have been showing up with some consistency, whether it was Sanhok or even whether it was Erangel, they were still there and showing up to the party. So I'm expecting some of these teams to do well, and hopefully, and I'm just gonna give a bit of commentator luck instead of curse over to Team Unique because they ain't going to need it. Seeing that their game 1 and 2 was not really what we want from them. We want to see much better performance coming out, and I'm just hoping that for the most part they get exactly that. But look who we have here in a contestant is going to be BC against KHK. And for the most time being, Snora is going to be all alone in this individual building, and around him is BC. He does have his teammates left and right, but at quite a distance. So if they go into a battle right now, as you can see, Yuhai do exactly that. Not doesn't look it, but Snora, I just like how he positioned himself to counter any of the fight that may have happened.
Yeah, right now, Black Clover in a very interesting position. They've got a nice spread out through this compound, and KHK also very spread out. But, I mean, they could still throw some pot shots, and indeed, they are certainly doing that. Some shots going back and forth between KHK, and they might just have to regroup. So much damage from Yuhai. Pennywise actually getting taken down there. That might be a little bit of a problem because they've got this position on lock. Snura and the rest of KHK going to have to come into the rescue because, oh, that's not what you want to do. You do not want to crawl into the crosshairs of Yuhai. That's an immediate punish, an immediate thirst coming through, and KHK immediately going to lose a member there as well. So Black Clover already 1 point up here. And I was going to say KHK, if they can get a regroup, obviously they're going to look super formidable because they've been on a roll today. They have just been pushing teams, and they've been really good at dissecting them out of a building. But this is a little bit of a disheveled KHK. They've been caught off guard. They've been caught apart, split down the middle. And that is definitely going to cost them. They've lost Pennywise down to 3 players now as Black Clover have surrounded them in a sense. You can see Federal and Yuhai on either side looking to just find a little bit more damage, in KHK having to retreat back into the buildings and just play a little bit of a safer game, having lost that teammate. I'm not sure if they want to re-aggress on this one because Black Clover are very much spread out, so you can't even push them. You can push one building, maybe find one of their players, but you're going to have to push like 2 or 3 more buildings to find the rest of them. So definitely looks like a position that KHK might just want to back off on. The crosshair is a little bit too focused. Yuhai is actually getting re-aggressed by Jerbot, who's confident to take the fight. Not sure if this is an advisable play, but we'll see who can come out on top here. In the meantime, the Magician's going to be taking a fight with Unique, and Cage going to go down instantly. So you are trying to throw a little bit of the cost of luck there, but it seems that they have been cursed to die super quickly every single time.
I don't know. It's so weird, hopefully it's just a upset of day for them, and RNG playing a huge factor, and we get to see a better Unique going into the other weeks and so forth. But for the most part, it's just the GGs all around. They can set back into the lobbies and rethink on what they can do better, because that's what I love about Umzansi. Yes, they do mix it up, A and D, B and C, C and D, or whatever the case may be, going up on a single day. But when it comes down to consistency, you get to learn your opponents, you get to understand how they rotate, what the loot paths are like, and maybe for Unique it's still that learning phase. But hopefully I believe they also come through with a previous season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah, I do believe so. They did
Yes.
come through from season
So
3.
So yeah, they definitely do know the knowledge of Umzansi and hoping that their days pick up. But for KHK, I think I commentated Chris this. I said they would have gone into the end games, and we do find them pinched to the wall with two of their players now taken out, and it's Pennywise and Snorer, but it's J Bort who we know exactly is able to do the most for the team, but I don't think it's possible to do a clutch of a madness and 1v4.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, KHK they've fumbled a little bit here on the uptake, just not able to kick into gear quick enough. They were separated, and Black Clover was able to catch them out. Pennywise, of course, being that first one to go down and just not being able to get behind cover quick enough. I'm not even sure if they were aware of Yuhai's positioning at that point, because I think if Pennywise knew where those shots were coming from, he definitely wouldn't have just crawled out into the open to try and escape. Maybe a desperate attempt to try and get undercover, but it certainly was punished. And well, yeah, they've lost 2 of their players since, and now they're in a bit of a difficult spot. And if they go out early, it's just going to be really unfortunate for them because they will have dropped the ball because they just had such good momentum coming through from maps 1 and 2, and to end off like this, yeah, not the way they wanted to end off today's games. But in any case, BBC going to be moving in from the west there, getting across that line. Miramar, of course, being such a big map, there's plenty of space for the teams, for now at least. You can see all the teams very much concentrated towards the middle of the map, and of course down towards the south and western portions of that zone. G3, our previous chicken dinner winners for match number 2, back at it again, ready to maybe pick up some more kills into the pocket. I'm interested to see how they perform here in this game, if they'll be able to keep up the consistency or not, because earlier we were talking about the consistency coming out from teams like the Magicians and KHK, although KHK seems to be dropping the ball now. That consistency coming out of those promoted teams is just absolutely fantastic. That's really how you perform well in a season. You just get that consistent performance through. You don't have to absolutely shine like a star every single game, but if you can get a consistent placement and some consistent kills, it doesn't have to be super high, it just has to be there every single time. You can actually skyrocket yourself straight up that leaderboard, because a lot of teams don't really manage to keep that consistency in terms of acquiring those points. So yeah, just a well-played position from them, and look at those long-range shots. Slap a Mini 14 in the hands of Benji, and Team Somalia ready to maybe make a bit of a comeback here after a really good performance in the first map. Maybe looking for some re-shining here in map number 3.
Oh man, and that's Miramar for you. Long distance shooting, and for the most part, you won't really know exactly where that's coming from. So hopefully they're able to revive Dope. I don't see any other teams on the outskirts to third party this, so Dope is able to potentially get back up and standing. But for the most part, I have to give we have to give a lot of respect to Team Somalia. They came into this tournament or this day as a 3-man, and managed to grab winner chicken dinner. They've managed to also go into the end game depths last time around, last game. So for the most part, I'm really excited about this team, and I want to see them at their full potential with a full squad going into next week or whatever the case may be, just so we can see what talent they truly have. I mean, if they're able to do this with a 3-man, what more can we ask for with a full squad?
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, they could have been a one-shot, or maybe with their full team, they'll be able to pull something insane off. Who knows? We have been seeing such surprises from so many teams in the season already, and it's only been 3 days, so it's absolutely fantastic to watch. Now, of course, BBC off there towards the west, going to be pushing past Black Clovers and KHK, who are still alive with their 2 players there. In the meantime, of course, we've got XO Redefined moving up on Team Somalia as well there in the western portion of that available play area. So things are heating up here and there. I'm not too sure if KHK will be able to roll the card down. It's Team Somalia. This is the special aim boosting ritual. If you roll your vehicle down the cliff at least 3 times, you get a special +5 to your aim score right there. And they're looking to capitalize in on that. Kingerman moving up, taking those painkillers, the beast, making sure that they're still alive after taking a little bit of damage from that rotate. You can see the natural killers up ahead of them as well. Team Somalia want to get out of that tough situation, and that is definitely recommended at this point. Going for another slide down the hill. They've really been doing the car tricks today. Team Somalia out here on something else. They're playing Tony Hawk's. They're not even playing PUBG. They're just doing the grinds down the hills and whatnot. BBC moving in away from the pressure pot that is BBC versus KHK. And I think Black Clover do want to move out of that area. KHK, not really worth it to hunt at this point. I think rather just get yourself some good positioning here. Solo moving down the hill away from the Magicians. Also trying to chase them down. Legacy moving away in that buggy. So right now it's just a matter of rotation. It's a matter of positioning. And that is to be expected on a map like Miramar with such wide open spaces. And now we just wait for that zone to drop again, and we'll wait for those long-range engagements to spike up.
Yeah, no, definitely. Miramar still set so many zones to come, so many players to get closer to each other. KHK playing to their roots, and that is going to be that zone gameplay. We did see this in the promotion relegation phases. KHK, previously known as Yonkers, grabbing in those heel offs in the zone. I was with you, Patchy, if I'm not mistaken, when that was happening.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
It was.
And yeah, so for the most part, we're down to 14 teams. A lot more action in Miramar, and Juicy, he's just setting in a beam on that vehicle. XA Dope just trying to disengage to his best. It does look like Exo British, however, is going to be left alone behind, and that's not going to be looking good. As we got an NK, we got them sort of in this area, and they can now go over to this position to Pero, who seems to be getting revived. And no, NK is just here to set on the blasphemy of action that we've wanted to see so far. And Pero is left alone with a smother of HP, and it's not going to be enough to able to get that elimination. And for them, it's a pickup of 2 to their name. So Natural Killer is really showing up to the party right here. And for the most part, the entire lobby seems to be active, trying to grab in those last number of points to maybe grow up on the leaderboard and go out with a bang.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sean not going to go out with a bang. He gets taken out with a punch to the face, which certainly is going to sting when you head back to the lobby on that one. The zone has shifted up once again up into the northeast of its current position. You can see all the teams just streaming on into their locations. The north of that zone just looking absolutely like a ghost town at the moment. Magicians getting exploded by G3 as they try and get past the position. They do not want to mess with G3. I think they have made that statement loud and clear so far. But in any case, G3 going to be streaming into the middle of the map, contesting for that position against the Magicians. Can they repel this attack is the question. Magicians have a pretty good setup here. They've got some cover, but G3, they have played up against worst, and Paradox going to get taken down. Some surgical play there by Gunner. That's what you do. 1 down, 2 more to go, and it's easy peasy for G3. They're moving on up to the compound. The Magicians have to try to defend this one. They've got to rush to the defense as quickly as they can, because if you slip up against G3, you give them all the keys to your castle right here. Buden going to be moving up super quickly. A very nicely placed nade going to take down all that HP. Magicians have to back off of the res. Syntox barely escaping with his life here as G3 are on the hunt once again. Quick thirst coming through for Buden as well. Paradox getting taken down. No chance for the res whatsoever. Syntox are going to go back to join Legacy to try and stay alive. The Magicians seem to have bitten off a little bit more they can chew. They thought they could hold this compound, but against the likes of G3, that's a no siree. They have just come to claim your ground away from you. In the meantime, Team Somalia getting taken out by BBC as the fights continue all over the show. Solo also getting hammered there in the kill feed as G3 continue their assault of the Magicians here on the compound. They've taken half of the compound away from them and put Legacy and Syntox on the back foot.
Everything I've said has just gone away from me. But before I talk more about that, we do see BBC Valak getting an elimination now on to Team Somalia. Is also going to get that revive right there. And I was saying, third parties still getting involved over here. So Law and them now popping up some smoke grenades, trying to get some cover, and that's just going to be the third parties of the third parties. And we don't know exactly whether or not they'll be able to get any confirmations. It doesn't look like that for the most part, as they're able to now revive both their players that have been knocked. Unique, sorry, is also going to get eliminated by the play zone over there. So just a bloodbath of moments have we witnessed. All these players sort of get knocked, get elimination. There's Team Somalia Beast getting eliminated. There's still Kingerman and is alive. He's gonna have to solo this, but for how long will he be able to? As we've witnessed, all solo players sort of get in a pinch moment, and they're just gonna get taken out either now or later. And BBC seems to be the one to stop the team Somalia in this situation, and he's just going to play the waiting game, focus on a dead side rotation in terms of rotating as the blue zone closes in. And BBC going against BC Black Crystal, and for the most part, doesn't look too good. You are high, taking up quite a lot of damage, but also dealing the damage back as BBC is losing couple players down, and they now need to spend some time trying to get the revive. Will Black Crystal be the ones to give them some mercy and allow them to get that revive? But even more so, if that does come into the play, the blue zone is going to be rotating now, and these players are going to be on the edge of zone being gatekeeped. So for the most part, it's just going to be a tricky situation. BBC Lord now needing to go in as a solo because the zone takes out, and there goes the beam from Dagger, but no, not able to connect. Lord taken down already by the zone, so it's Lord left alone in this situation, and he's like a dream of mystery. Third party shots onto Natural Killer. He's moving left, right, trying to strafe away from those bullets. And yeah, I've been meaning to say, for the most part, that the predictions on which teams would be doing good have been false. Magicians have sort of lost their players. Team Somalia have sort of lost their position. So has KHK. So it's only down to G3 to sort of say, Iro, we got you. We're going to win this one.
Yeah, a step up from the Kings of old. G3 still in the game, still full party, nice and strong. We're down to 11 teams and 36 players. Here on your screen, of course, you can see Magicians with their 2 remaining players up against Solo. They're just quite content to stay on the outskirts of that compound. They know they can't take it away from Team Solo. They, of course, Natural Killers moving in just off to the perimeter of that playable zone. XO Redefined moving in as well. High going to get taken out by the blue, of course, as well as Sincerity getting eliminated through the use of the blue zone, and Titan just putting the final nails in that coffin. Samurai looking for a couple of long-range shots here with that Mini 14, but right now in a pretty okay position. Got their compound, and there's a little bit of spread between some of the teams off towards the north and the east. You can see there we've got Infinity as well as Sidemen and the Black Crystal team all the way over to the east. G3 having taken up residence on the western side, maybe looking to put some third-party shots and continue picking up some kills. Juicy just tapping away at British, not going to let him escape the blue whatsoever, and looking to see if any other stragglers are running around in the blue as that zone closes in once again. 10 teams now as we are 5 zones deep moving through into our next zone. Things are certainly going to be heating up from here on in.
No, it's been heated up. I mean, now we're putting these players in the oven. We're shoving them in the oven because if we are down to 10 players in such a huge map, in such a vast Miramar, imagine the end game scenes when these players get closer to each other. You know, they're going to be eliminating left, right, and center. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that they have chosen violence. It's not just the G3, it's everyone. Infinite Light, XIX. You can see all of these things are happening. XIX, Hunter, and Infinite do seem to be in some sort of battle some way or another as they continuously knock each other down in the kill feed over there. Natural Killers, good to see them in their habitat as they beam and get some kills some way or another. Gunner as well. G3. Oh, just look at that kill feed coming up from Gunner over there. He's looking to set dominance yet again, and 5 kills for them as they set their eyes onto Natural Killer, and there's an elimination onto Sealer, and that's a team wipe. And I just thought about Natural Killers making their way into the end games, and nope, G3 was there to prove me wrong and say goodbye to them. XIX in still a pretty much tough position, and you can see G3 Biden taking out a couple of their EXO players over there, and these players are just looking left, they look right, they separated, but they somehow keep on getting killed either way. They're just focusing on different teams, and that's what's working out for the most part. And that's what I love to see about G3. Today, they've really been the star team for me, Pachi.
Yeah, give them a hill, give them an ACOG, and they will wipe everyone out that even dares to walk into their crosshairs. Now, of course, you can see the fight going in between Infinity and Sidemen. Right now, the smokes have just been popped all over the place to try and obscure the vision, try and wait out the inevitable fights that will be happening. But speaking of the inevitable, G3, you can see them off in the distance, moving in for that drop. And with that, should be some tier 3 upgrades for them, and that is just even more daunting. And a fully upgraded tier 3 G3 is going to be quite terrifying indeed. You can see Kato struggling there on the other side of the hill as Altia gets taken out by Louis. Still KHK in the fight at the moment. 7 teams remaining, 21 players left alive. Straken getting taken down. Louis continuing to put those shots in, but they have to make the road across that line. And Titan is ready to receive low HP for Louis, but just making it across the line. I'm not too sure how long he has to survive. Too many crosshairs all over the show. Yujiro going to go down as well as G3 continues to be a nuisance on the map, just laying down the fire onto everyone in the vicinity. Samurai going to get taken out by 6 guard there. Solo under fire now as well. The zone has shifted down towards the southeast. Things are going to be difficult for a lot of these teams that have to make the rotation, and there's so many stragglers all over the show that things are going to be a little bit chaotic when they have to make that final dash. And Diga's going to go down to 6 as well. 6 guard putting in quite a bit of damage all across the map. Hunter looking for a bit of a long range, but they've got a good position inside the map. It's G3 that has to reposition here, try and get themselves across the line. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem, though. They're ready to just absolutely swing their presence around like a baseball bat and smack everyone in the face as they do so. Here they come across that line, securing their position inside the zone. 6 teams remaining. Who is going to take that winner chicken dinner? Right now, G3 are in the contention to make that happen. Look at them just tearing through player after player.
6 teams. I just can't believe what we are witnessing right now. Biden, he's been phenomenal, and you could just see how confident G3 is. Look how they separate 2-on-2. The G3 versus BC in this situation. It's Biden who's getting the eliminations over there, and you just love to see how confident. And we were talking about confidence earlier on, and this team just is immersing with confidence, and that's what I really like to see. And you can just continuously see the kill feed. Gunner is just getting all these eliminations, as well as Biden. XIX Hunter has been active in some way form of matter, and we are down to literally 4 teams and 12 members. Somehow KHK still alive. Louis with the Smith of HP now makes a rotation in a vehicle. Will it be enough for him? Will he get the cover he so desires? As XIX Sleepy just deals the damage onto the team of G3. We are now going to be closing the zones, and the zones are going to get smaller and tighter. No cover here on XIX Sleepy except for a heal. So it's just not going to be looking good, as Hunter and them will be going in a 4v4 battle against G3, and Luis for the most part, or even Kato could be a little bit of noise in the background to sort of deal with some damage across to these 2 teams that are now in a head-on-head battle. And Biden almost connecting Luis to get out of this, that background noise that I was talking about now. There we go, but no. Sleepy and them are going to take advantage of this, and third-party Biden, and there we go. G3 now down a man, and that's just going to be GG's. And there's Dizzy as well, who's going to get eliminated. XIX Hunter, however, still in this one.
Oof, man, a little bit of greedy play coming out from G3 is going to cost them Buren, and he is going to get taken out. Sleepy now taking a little bit of damage. The nades heading over G3 with some control of this hill. Still have the vantage point, and if they can't find anything to do against them, it might just be another chicken dinner for G3. Sidemen have to make this work. They've got the numbers, they've got some positioning. They need to deal with Kato and the rest of the team, and then they need to focus on G3 as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough time. Kato actually going to be nading Hunter straight off the bat, and that's a problem. That's going to make things difficult for the Sidemen here. They are split down the middle, 2 and 2. 2 of them having to deal with Infinity, and 2 of them having to deal with the 3 players from G3. The smokes are getting popped now to try and buy some time to make something happen. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. You've got to find the kills. Infinity just being an absolute thorn in the side of the Sidemen right now. They have to deal with this as quickly as they can. Otherwise, they're liable to take some serious L's. Now, Gunner putting the shots in is going to find two, and that's the elims that they were looking for. The Sidemen now straggling just a little bit. It's only Kato left, but Matrix has decided to turn his attention towards G3, and so has Hunter. They don't want to care about Kato anymore. Their attention is fully focused on G3, where it should be, because these are the grand opponents right now, our top three teams. It's going to be G3, it's going to be the Sidemen, and of course, it's going to be Infinity, with Kato still keeping the hopes and dreams of the team alive. If they don't deal with him, actually, he might just get a top 2 finish, depending on if Sidemen and G3 can wipe each other out before they pick Kato off. Gunner off to the right side might just spot him out. Matrix taking a little bit of damage. Now Kato in the blue zone might just be his demise. Indeed, as he rushes out, he's going to expose himself and immediately get taken down by Gunner. That's another kill in the pocket of G3, putting them on about 14 kills. They're absolute insanity for G3, but the insanity has not yet finished. Sidemen still have a fight ahead of them, but they don't want to commit. They're just standing behind this ridge, waiting for the time to strike. It's going to be G3 versus Sidemen. The smokes are down. The gauntlet has been thrown, but who accepts the challenge first is going to be the question. The Sidemen don't want to commit. Hunter and Matrix off to the one side. Sadboy and Sleepy off to the other. G3, they're just happy to wait right now. They're going to wait for that blue zone to coax the Sidemen to push forward and force them into those crosshairs, waiting. The patience coming through from both of these teams. They're waiting for a mistake, but nobody wants to make it. Nobody wants to make that first mistake. Just push over the rise. Give us the action. It is about to happen. It is absolutely brewing. 10 seconds left before that blue zone moves in, and somebody has to make the first move. Somebody has to push forward and make something happen. The smoke's about to dissipate on the side of Hunter and Matrix, and this could be the final few seconds for these teams to prepare. Sidemen decide to split, to try and delegate the performance coming out there and try and give themselves a better chance. Gunner taking a little bit of damage. Now Six Guard pushing forward on the left-hand side, but so much damage. He gets knocked out by the Sad Boy. This could be the victory that the Sidemen were looking for, but Gunner still on the right-hand side. Tomac's going to take down so much damage for Tomac. This is the end of G3. Sidemen pick up the chicken dinner and send G3 down into position number 2.
Oh, what a way to end, 3 different winner chicken dinners. Very consistent gameplay, however, from G3. But for this game over here from Miramar, it is a complete out of prediction and surprise from Sidemen as they make their way to the top, getting that victory or winner chicken dinner. They've managed to also secure themselves a decent amount of kills. So they will be looking at a really clutch of play to end this tournament. In second place, G3 with a decent amount of kills. Infin, however, managed to get into a third place position with 0 kills here, Apache. So really interesting. We're going to have to wait and see what that standings will be looking like on the leaderboard, though.
So, once again, Temper coming through and doing the complete opposite of what we were expecting based on, the situations they had there. I mean, still picking up quite a bit of kills, so I don't know. I think in terms of Temper's performance tonight, Patchy, what do you think that overall standing is going to be looking like?
Look, I mean, that final game from them was still pretty consistent. I mean, second place is nothing to scoff at. You still get an insane amount of points. And G3, they still put points on the board. They still have so many kills in their pocket. I mean, that's a booster for sure. It doesn't matter where their placements are. If you're going to pick up like 14, 15 kills, it doesn't even matter. You could come last and still have a good amount of points in the pocket. But the fact of the matter is, they came in second place. That's the kind of consistency that gets you up to the top of the leaderboard. So I do presume them to be bumping up a couple of positions at the very least. I expect them to be high up on that first page at the very least, in contention for some future pushes. Obviously, they're not going to be at the top because we've got some teams that have really pulled in the points in these last 3 days, but certainly that was definitely a satisfying way to end off day number 3.
I think Temper really came to clutch today. I mean, they really showed us, remnants of that season 1 Temper that everyone was so terrified of, and who they really put a target on their backs after season 1. So I mean, coming through now, season 2, season 3, here we are in season 4, and once again we're getting a little bit of that nostalgia coming through. And Tempa's performance today was just absolutely brilliant, with those standings from the previous match coming to your screens right now. Iro, if you would please do take us through them.
Absolute GG's here to Sidemen, grabbing 11 kills, as well as if Vic Roy will be tied with with G3 Temper. And I keep saying Vic Roy, sorry, it's a winner chicken dinner. And second is G3 Temper, and third is the Infinity AF with 10 points. In fourth is KHK Esports Africa with 10 points as well. In fifth is Black Clover with 9 points. In sixth is Black Crystal with 5 points. In seventh is Natural Killers with 5 points. And in eighth is Solo Esports with 4. Over on the next page, in ninth place position, we're going to have Sincerity Esports with a 3 points. The Magicians, however, coming in 10th with 3 points as well. Team Unique in 11th with 2. EXO Redefined in 12th. BBC in 13th. Team Somalia in 14th. And Rainbow Six Madagascar in 15th.
Whew. So, I mean, we've had obviously quite a mix of teams coming through today, but let's take a look at your MVP, your last MVP for the day from match 3. And it once again is an MVP coming through from G3 Temper. It is once again Gunner with 5 kills, 741 damage, and a total survival time of 26 minutes and 38 seconds. So I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, have we not had 3 MVPs today and all 3 of them, be from G3 Temper?
Yep, that's correct.
I don't recall the first
Gunner,
one, but I think you must be right.
It was Gunner, the first one, and then it was Baden, and then once again, it's Gunner.
Amazing.
Oh, it happens, but those overall standings are in fact waiting for us, and we're going to see where exactly the teams may have shifted after today's game. So Patchy, if you would, please do take us through it.
Well, I have been certainly made to open my eyes slightly wider, because we have G3 Temper sitting on 105 points. They're just, I don't know, is anyone getting flashbacks right now? I seem to recall Esproxy calling out that she recalls the first time she saw G3 just chilling up there. They were the first one to hit that 100-point mark, and they've done it again. 105 points for G3 in position number 1. Absolute insanity from these guys. 57 kills. What is going on for these guys? They are out for blood, and they certainly have proven it today. KHK still sitting in second place, nice at the top there with 81 points. In third place, we've got Team Somalia with 63. We've got Influence Rage in fourth position with 60 points. Sidemen in position number 5 with 55 points. Really Insiders in 6 with 53. Black Clover in 7 with 50. Slime 4KT in 8 with 48 to round out the first page. Of course, a lot of those teams still have to have their third matches, but certainly, or second matches, should I say, but certainly, man, oh man, it's been absolutely nuts. The Magicians coming in 9th place with 48 points. Seven Sins AOK in 10th with 46. Solar Esports in 11 with 42. The Infinity AF in 12 with 33, as well as C Esports and the Natural Killers coming in with 33 apiece in 13 and 14. 15th position, we've got Zero Tolerance Skills with 29 points. And 16, we've got Affiliate Apex with 28. So, I mean, you could just see the absolute disparity between the top and the bottom of the leaderboard as we move down onto the next page. 17th position, we've got BBC with 28. 18th, we've got Black Crystal with 23 as well. Sincerity with 23 in 19. EXO Redefined coming in 20 position with 18 points. Those the Immortals coming in with 18 and 21. Rain from Hell 22 with 16. And Toxic Esports with 16 and 23. Rounding things off on this page is Team Unique with 16 points in 24. Of course, this last page is the hot seat that you do not want to be in for very long. You want to get yourself out here ASAP. It's 25 with Young Thunder in 14 points, should I say. 26th position is Fear with 12. Ultra 6 with 10 points in 27, as well as Lag Esports in 28 with 10. Coffee 6 with 8 in 29. Rainbow 6 with 6 in 30. And Aatrox with 5 in 31. So just looking at the difference in points, you can see the performance from a lot of these teams. It's just been absolutely insane for the first 3 days of this season. And if these are the first 3 days, you definitely want to stick around for the next, because we've got a few weeks of this to go still. Plenty of action to look forward to.
So yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up and sums it up. The first 3 days of the fourth season of Umzansi Esports League is coming to a close. Of course, that's the PUBG segment, saying thank you and so much thank you for joining, because it's been so good to see these teams come back and to see, you know, a form of temper coming through in season 4 very unexpectedly, but also so many other teams coming and rising to the top and showing us their skills and talents that they have in Africa. So you don't want to miss us. We're going to be back here at the same time, same place. We're going to be on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course some Jinx TV action as well next weekend from Friday to Sunday. So if you want more information about that, go make sure you check out the Not On Gaming Africa website, where you can catch all the details and some extra bit of content, as well as our social medias, which you can use to stay up to date with all the action happening. But that is pretty much all that we have to say tonight. Thank you so much to Patchy and Ira for giving us all the action. Of course, our production team for always making us look our absolute best. And for you guys watching at home, thank you for joining us. It's always great to have you guys here. You guys make the show at the end of the day, and we hope to see you next weekend. Until then, stay safe and hope to see you next time.